उपवेश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्.
Now, in the worldly actions, you are not able to bring that goal. Because the moment you are in the world, coming back from the meditative life, meditative hours, you are active, your mind is haunted by all kinds of constrictions. You are again selfish, you are again thinking of you only, not about the society, not about others. You are partial, you are haunted by raga dvesha. So, which are all anti-soul, reverse to the self. There lies the greatest problem for all sadhakas. You have to change your mindset, and the goal of the interactive life also will have to be the same. That is, whatever is the goal of the meditative life, to attain the soul means that universality, impersonality, etc. In your interactive life also you have to put that as the goal, and all your interactions will undergo change. Not the interactions will change outwardly, your mindset will undergo a change. Suppose you are talking to a person, your mind has to focus on your mindset, your response to the situation. Oh, something happened and you are scolding the person because you got delayed or so. Immediately the mind will say, have I ever inquired what is his difficulty? Why did he come late today? Suppose in the office somebody has come late and that day you had to do something very important. So you are already anxious about your work. And the moment the person comes, you start scolding him, not even looking at his face. Maybe somebody has died in his house. You are not concerned, bothered about it. We are so selfish and we are so occupied with and anxious about whatever is happening around us, whatever is happening to our work, that we are not conscious about the surroundings at all. So immediately your buddhi will tell you that this is not the way. I must have a comprehensive vision. I must be equally thinking of the person also. Maybe some difficulties will come in my work. Maybe some delay will take place. Maybe I will lose some money. But still, I have to be sensitive about whatever is happening around. Suppose in the board meeting or in any conversation in the family or anywhere, when you have suggested something or expressed some opinion, if that opinion is not accepted, immediately we get so much agitated about it. वो अच्छी तरह बता दिया था, कोई सुना नहीं, सुनने वाले नहीं है. You get agitated. You can say for whatever it is worth, but why are you getting agitated if people do not say? They also have some certain opinion about it. Why not consider their opinion about it? So, we are always selfish. Suppose we walk out of our house, are we concerned about the road and everything? Which facilities we are taking? Is it not the society which is giving us all the facilities of living? Are we concerned about the government, about the society where we are living, who are giving all the facilities? When we are producing anything, be it steel, be it motor car, or be it the cosmetics, who are the consumers? The society. So any business, is it not taking money from the society and it is surviving because of the society? Are the producers going to consume all the things they are producing? Are the Tatas going to run all their vehicles? But we are unconcerned about it. That society is the main there. In doing anything, the society should be the first concern, because we are getting everything from the society. We have to give it back to the society also. Suppose if we get the knowledge from the Guru or from somewhere, we get the knowledge and we feel very much benefited. How did you get the knowledge? Is it not because of the society, the parampara and all that has been maintained and the knowledge is still available to me? So if I feel happy with the knowledge, should I not see that it can be distributed to others also? But we become selfish about our sadhana. हमें self realize बनना है, हमें self कभी नहीं बनेंगे वैसे. Self means universal. वो जब constricted बनेंगे तो उतना ही self से दूर रहेंगे. You will be away from the self, more constricted you are. In the name of puja, in the name of sadhana, we become more constricted. Because we are thinking of self as some phala, some result at the end of something I will have. I am coming to that in the 18th chapter. I was telling that whatever is the goal in your meditation to attain the self, that should be the goal in your interactive life also. What does it mean? To become non-selfish, to become all-embracing, to love everybody, not to blame others, to understand things comprehensively. Even if we have to fight not with a selfish aim or personal gain, but fight when the fighting is necessary. Suppose Arjuna was fighting with the enmity towards Duryodhana. It was an absolute selfish way of fighting. What Krishna said is no. You say that Yat Rajya Sukha Lobhena, you are fighting for gaining the kingdom so that you can enjoy the kingdom. No, it is not that. I don't want you to fight in that case. You are fighting to establish the righteous rule on earth. It's a great social responsibility for a Kshatriya. For the fighters, this is the great social responsibility. You cannot keep away from that. You have to protect the people, and if you find that the kings have gone corrupt, then you have to fight and establish a righteous rule. It is part of the social responsibility. So I want you to, Krishna said that he wants Arjuna to fight with that idea. And in that process, if his grandfather or the teacher is standing on the opposite side, without any enmity towards them, with all the love for them also, he has to kill. Can you understand the dimension needed for the mind? Say, I have to kill my beloved grandfather without any, there is no jhagda, there is no quarrel, nothing. With all the good relations, Bhishma is blessing them that you win. That means what? He is ready to get killed by his own grandchildren. We have to be imaginative in understanding the dimension of the mind. Is it not the dimension of a knower, where you become absolutely impersonal? We know during the Nakshal period that once the police force, they were chasing the Naxalite and they were face to face when there was about to, bombs and others will go on. The inspector who was heading the police party, he discovered his son there on the other side. Naxalite. He had sent him for studying. The son had become Naxalite. He did not know. So he found that his mind will not allow to fight his son in front. But he was a good person, so he left the whole thing to the next person and went away from there. That my mind will not allow, please look after that. He did not try to somehow release his son and kill others. That he did not do. He was a good person, but he left. Because the mind will not allow. How will you fight? Now, if you can fight Bhishma and Drona without any enmity, in spite of all your love and respect for them, then you will be able to kill Duryodhana also without any enmity, inimical feeling. There lies it's the two sides of the coin. So far he was being inimical to Duryodhana. Now Krishna is giving him a dimension in which he will fight Duryodhana, maybe kill Duryodhana also, but without any enmity. Bhima could not. Bhima had the enmity, and he was stamping on Duryodhana's head when he had fallen. Krishna had to tell that he is a king. It's absolutely wrong whatever you are doing. This is our country. It's not like Homer's, that after killing the enemy you tie him to the wheel of the chariot and go around the war field, body becomes mangled. Our fights are not like that. Even after killing Ravana, who did so much of wrong to Rama, Rama goes and asks him that you have lived a great life. Do you have any advice for me? This is our country. So it is the internal dimension of the mind and intelligence which Bhagavad Gita is emphasizing. So the main revolutionary presentation here is that whatever activity people are feeling that it is a hindrance to my ultimate goal of self-knowledge or actualizing the self, all those activities can be transformed and made into an instrument which will take us to the self-realization. An Upanishadic pursuer will shun the activities. He is not involved in any activities at all. He is practicing Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Here, remaining in the activities, the person, the seeker, has to change his mindset, his orientation, his goal, so that through the activities he will have the same Brahmic dimension, the same universal dimension. Is it clear? This we have to understand. And for that, the activities are the opportunities. Suppose with all the filth in the mind, all the constrictions in the mind, you remain away from the society, remain closed up in your house. You will never know what are the culprits hiding in your mind. Only when you interact with the people, you will find that I have a tendency to hurt people. I have a tendency to become selfish, always look for my own gain. I have a tendency to blame others. Even when somebody has done something great, I am not able to appreciate him freely and openly. These are all constrictions, smallness. This in Shastra it is called Kripanata. Kripana does not mean only about money. This is the major Kripanata. Kripana means the mind is not allowed to become liberal. The opposite of Kripana is liberal. That means mind is constricted, it is small. So Arjuna, right in the beginning, when he understood and accepted Krishna as the Guru, the shloka says, Karpanya dosho apahata svabhavaha. That is, he is confessing that my mind is haunted by Karpanya dosha, Kripanata, that means constricted. Prichhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha. I am asking you because I am absolutely confused about what is dharma and what is adharma. See, you should be able to relate these shlokas to the end, where Krishna is saying in 18th chapter, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja. Sarva dharman means what? Dharma, adharma, all those codes have to be rejected there. Here he is saying that I am dharma sammudha chetaha. I am absolutely confused about what is moral, what is immoral, what is to be done, what is not to be done. Prichhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha yat shreyasyat nishchitam bruhitanme shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Whatever, but at the same time I am saying that I am not interested in the prayers. That means all the pleasurable. Just before that he said I am interested in Rajya Sukha Lobha. That is, I am fighting this war for Rajya Sukha Lobha. Now his mindset has already got changed. He has understood that his goal is, mind has not fully changed. He says that, no, my goal is not Rajya Sukha Lobha, but my goal is Shreyas. I have always wanted Shreyas in my life. So, Yat Shreyasyat Nishchitam Bruhitanme. But I don't know where lies that auspicious goal, where lies that Shreyas. By fighting the war, I am not able to see the Shreyas. That how can killing my grandfather and teacher and my kith and kin, I will attain Shreyas? I am not able to understand. Yat Shreyasyat Nishchitam Bruhitanme. You tell me without any ambiguity where lies the Shreyas. So he wants to know. Now he has become humble. In the first chapter, he was preaching Krishna that this will happen, that will happen. Dharma says this. All this, the first chapter is fully the lecture of Arjuna to Krishna. Now suddenly he has become humble after getting the scolding from Krishna. And he says that Yat Shreyasyat Nishchitam Bruhitanme. Why will you say Shishyasteham? This is the first time he says. All along he was a friend of Krishna. Now he says that I am your disciple. Shishya. Shishya means one who undertakes the discipline given by the teacher. Shasta, it has come from the Anushasana given by the discipline given by the Guru. Shishya means that. Being a Shishya, if you do the opposite of what the Guru does, then you are not a Shishya actually. Being a Shishya means whatever the Guru's words, we have to follow. Shishyasteham, I am your disciple. Shadhimam, you give me your disciple, your Shasana, you give me your Sasana, your discipline. And why should you tell me? What am I supposed to do? Why will you tell me? Tvam prapannam. This is a great statement. I have taken refuge in you. When a deserving Shishya takes refuge in the Guru, refuge means ashraya. I have taken ashraya in you. Then the Guru cannot deny. And Vivekachudamani also says that to such a Shishya, the Guru must give the essence of the Brahma Vidya. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is based on this 7th verse of 2nd chapter. It's the 7th verse of 2nd chapter. Because Arjuna says that my mind is constricted. Karpanya dosho apahatasvabhava. And he wants that my goal is shreyas, not prayers. And I have taken refuge in you. So you must. Right? So thereafter, all it is Krishna's guidance to take him to that ultimate freedom, ultimate universality, ultimate unaffectedness. Now everything Bhagavad Gita presents in that, we should understand that Bhagavad Gita does not speak about anything external or objective. This is a great mistake we make in reading Bhagavad Gita. Whatever Bhagavad Gita has said about phalatyaga, about sannyasa, about naishkarmya siddhi, about jajna, about samatva, everything is internal. This, if you remember, then many of the mistakes will not take place. Phalatyaga, people say, result, renouncing the result. How can you renounce the result objectively? See, externally, whatever the work is, the result is a causal culmination of that. Suppose you walk towards the CIRD, Jamshedpur. Every step you take towards the CIRD, are you not coming closer to CIRD? And the result, is it not to reach CIRD? It's a causal chain. Now after reaching, will you say that I want to renounce the result, so I will not come to CIRD? It's absolutely foolish, meaningless, it has nothing. No meaning in it. Externally you cannot renounce. Suppose you put up a factory, you want cars to be made. And when the car comes out, you say that, no, I don't want the car. Is there any meaning? Swamiji always says the example of pregnancy. You 9 years, you bear the child in your womb. And when the child comes out, are you going to renounce the child? It is your responsibility to look after the child and feed him also. Objective renunciation of the result is absolutely impossible. How can you renounce the result? It is following the causality. What Bhagavad Gita is saying, the result which is produced in your mind, that you are sometimes happy with the result, sometimes unhappy with the result. It has to do with that. And as yesterday I said that whatever we are doing, is it not to become happy at the end of it? Bhagavad Gita says only that don't do anything for becoming happy. Because you will never become happy by gaining anything from this world. That was my yesterday's discussion, that we are born with a abhava bodha, an insufficiency. That is why we want to become happy. And parallelly with a delusion, that's gaining something from the world, we will become happy. Which we don't see around, that nobody ever in this world has become happy by gaining anything from the world. Either it is fame, riches, property, appreciation, whatever you may think of. Because the happiness is right within. When actually the mystery is that the moment we stop looking for happiness outside, we become so happy. The happiness just flows. What do we have to do? We don't have to look for happiness from outside. Only this much. But it is so difficult because of our habit and the growth. we have been hosting this delusion. So it doesn't go easily. The moment we stop, we can give enough proof for that also. You will not, even then you will not be able to grasp it. Suppose in deep sleep, are you not, when you are getting from deep sleep, are you not happy? If you don't have a deep sleep one day, you feel so miserable after that. Is it not so? In the deep sleep, what material from the world you had? Deep sleep means what? You forgot the world. You forgot yourself also. The ego part also you had forgotten in deep sleep. There was no signal anywhere. It is a zero state. And that makes you happy. Is it not? In meditation, if at all you reach a state of thoughtlessness, that is the time you get flooded with ananda, bliss, the meditation and bliss. Those who meditate, they should analyze and come to such conclusion that in meditation, when did I get the joy? When did the joy flow? Only when I forgot the world, forgot myself also. Then you automatically become happy. So in that case, where lies the happiness? Is it not right? Within the moment our mind stops looking for happiness, we become happy. We carry out our whole life looking for happiness, remaining unhappy. Can you understand our foolishness? But we are very happy with the foolishness. So actually the desires do not make us happy. You may think that for a while we got happy by fulfilling the desires. Actually, desires are making us unhappy. And by fulfillment of that desired thing, when we are getting, for some time no desire is there in the mind. That is why you are happy. See, analyze all these things and come to your own conclusion. Everything can be done. You are unhappy as long as the desire is there in your mind. What happens when you get the desired objective? The desires have gone. At that point the desire was not there. You become happy. This happiness is not for the fulfillment of the desire, but for the elimination of the desire. So if you eliminate the desire right in the beginning, as it is happening in sleep, as it is happening in meditation, in the life also, if you can eliminate it right in the beginning, then you become happy. We call it bhogecha. Bhogecha means to enjoy the world or enjoy something different from myself. This bhogecha is the last obstacle in everything. In meditation also people get diverted from the real goal, because in meditation they look for the happiness. Once they get the happiness, every day they look for happiness. Gone. You will never reach the goal then. This bhogecha makes us look for something other than the self. Whereas the real fulfillment is in the self. Our Shastras are called Shruti Mata. Like the mother, the Shastras are crying and calling, "Oh my dear son, how long will you run after the things? Come back to my lap, on my lap." But we are all naughty children, we never listen to that. Go on moving around in the world thinking that I will get a little happiness there. About everything it is like that. We want love from others, a little love from here, there. And if you don't get that love, we become so miserable. Even if you get also, you are not happy. Why is not loving more? All these things. But the simple thing is that it is not the love coming from a person that is making us happy. It is the love that is making us happy. Why not we discover that? Start loving everybody irrespective of whether they love you or not. It doesn't matter. It is the love which is coming from the soul, from our inmost being, which makes us happy. If we love the entire world, then always you will be happy with that love. You will be filled with the love. It will be nectarine. It is like that yesterday's putting a shoe so that the dust doesn't touch your feet. Is loving everybody so that any other thing will not touch your mind at all. Any other wrong behavior from others also will not penalize you. So everything we have to analyze. That is why it is called vichara. This analysis is called vichara. Yoga Vasishtha says, vichara tikshnatam dhihi pashyati param padam. Vicharat, by vichara, tikshnatam dhihi pashyati param padam. Dirgha samsara rogasya vicharohi mahaushadam. He says this worldliness, not the world. There is nothing wrong with the world, and the world is not going to change even if you become knower. The world is the world. There is nothing wrong with the world. The wrong is with us. That is worldliness in our mind. This Dirgha Roga, this is ancient disease called worldliness, samsara, the worldliness. The Mahaushadha, the great medicine for this is vichara. If you analyze the world and absorb the truth and follow the truth, then your life will become so joyous that you will not look for anything else at all. Vichara tikshnata metya dhihi pashyati parang padam. That ultimate goal is not seen by the eyes, not perceived by any of the indriyas. It is the buddhi which undergoes a transformation. Dhihi means our buddhi, which undergoes a great transformation by doing this, engaging in this vichara. Looking for the truth, the buddhi undergoes a change. And it is this buddhi which sees the ultimate truth. It's not theoretical. The ultimate truth dawns in the buddhi. Dhihi pashyati parampadam. The buddhi that sees the ultimate truth. So, in Bhagavad Gita, the most misinterpreted shloka is Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhuhu mate sangostu akarmani. Now here karmani eva adhikaraha te, it is always translated as, mostly at least, that your right is only in the action. It is not right. The adhikara, one meaning is right, but in the Shastras, adhikara is a very common word, which means fitness, deservingness. In any Shastra, there will be the first chapter where they consider 4 properties of a Shastra. That what is the use of this Shastra, what is the result of studying this Shastra, who are fit for this Shastra. Their fitness criterion is called adhikara tattva. So here repeatedly Krishna is saying that your adhikara is in the karma yoga, not in the exclusive jnana pursuit. Again in the next chapter he is saying, there are the twofold pursuit. One is karma yogena, jnana yogena sankhyanam, karma yogena yoginam. This discussion has been going on. So karmani eva adhikara, when he is saying it is, Arjuna is fit for the karma yoga, not for the kevala jnana nishtha is the meaning. Ma is used for don't. Ma is not na. Ma karma phala hetu, the ma phaleshu kadachana. Here some word is missing which you have to supply, as in many of the shlokas. Ma phaleshu sangaha astu, or ma phaleshu saktaha bhava, something like that, bhuhu. Just like the third one. Phaleshu, ma phaleshu, if we say it is enough. That means you don't get fully engrossed in the result. Now the moment we say result, again a misconception will come. Suppose you are producing car. The result is the car. Then unless you think very well, get all the advice from everybody, study very well, that when my factory is going to produce the car, will it be usable by the people, will it have its market and not? Is not all the attention should be in the phala.